Who is your ideal customer? Now again, I'm going to be referring back to Russell Brunson's fantastic Secrets book series. So we have the .com Secrets book, we have the Expert Secrets book, and we have the Traffic Secrets book. Now in his .com Secrets book, he said that one day he woke up in his business. His business had been up and running for a couple of years, but one day he woke up and he found it hard to pull himself out of bed. Now this was a business that he had built up from scratch. He was very, very successful in it, but even with a business that he was successful in, he said he still felt like somebody who was going to a 9-to-5 job that they detested, because he didn't know why. He said that he was grouchy, he was kind of missing out on family life, and he was putting a lot of work into it, but he couldn't put his finger on why he was feeling as bad as he was about his business. Now, it was only when he actually thought about it that he found that the people he was dealing with weren't the people that he really, really wanted to deal with. Now, when he built the business, he wanted to work with people who were used to taking action, people who had maybe a business in place, but wanted to take their business up to the next level. But he found when he looked at the customers he was dealing with people who probably hadn't got a clue how to create a web page, didn't know what an opt-in page was, hadn't a clue how to write an email, and basically they were people who probably had only been on the internet 10 minutes, and he found that he was spending all his time training those people, those absolute beginners, up to a level where they could start making money, whatever. But he found that those people weren't his ideal customers. He wanted the people who were already up and rolling, because it was going to make his job a lot easier. They already knew how to write emails, create web pages, and do all those different things. So that kind of lifted that workload off him. But because he hadn't worked out his ideal customer, those were the people he was working with right then. Now, as he said, he was wondering, how can I find my ideal customer? If these are the people I'm with right now, how can I change that? Am I always going to attract these type of customers to my business? And he found that when he was talking to a friend one day, that the friend said, well, what you need to do is you need to put out a different bait. And if you put a different bait into the pond, you're going to attract different fish. Now, if you are maybe a little bit confused about that, if you imagine I had an opt-in page today and I created a free report on how to create an opt-in page. Now, the people who would go to that landing page are people who probably haven't got a clue about an opt-in page and would download that free report. So those people are absolute beginners. Now again, if I took the same opt-in page and I created a report that said how to double your opt-in rate in your emails. Now, there is a good chance that the beginners aren't going to go for that report, because that's at too high of a level for them. They probably aren't creating emails, so it's not going to interest them. And the people you are probably going to track with that free report are people who are probably already emailing, but are looking for more success with emails. They're looking for a higher opt-in rate, and because that report is tailored towards them, that is the type of person you are going to get reading it. Again, the people who read thriller books are completely different people who read romance books. So if you want to attract a different customer or an ideal customer to you, you need to change the bait that you are putting in the water. Now, again, probably like yourself, this was something I never ever gave any consideration to. In fact, when I was creating my courses for, my fiction courses and my low content book creation courses, I never gave that much thought. I just assumed anybody that had even the slightest interest in that was my ideal customer. But I found that the people I attracted to me were people who had all different skill levels, people who were only 5 minutes in the business, who hadn't a clue how to create a low content book and didn't know how to create an opt-in page and didn't know the very, very basics. And then I had the other people then who were already up and running and were maybe looking for fresh ideas for more new books, but they were already up, they were already publishing, and they were well ahead of the game. So in my list I had people from two extremes. Now, to be honest, I don't want to work with the beginners. No offense to any beginners, but I don't want to spend my life like Russell did, helping those people to do the basics, because at the end of the day you can find most of the basics on YouTube. Most of the basic things you need to know you can probably do a YouTube search and you'll find a beginner's video or a tutorial that'll get you up and running. What I want is the people who are already up and running, people who are taking action, people who are showing up regularly. And as I said, I had a combination of everybody on my list because I wrongly assumed that everybody was my customer. Now, as Russell says, what you need to do is you need to sit down for a moment and you need to picture your ideal client. You need to get a pen and paper and say, what is the type of ideal client that you would like to work with? Somebody who, if they showed up to your office today, the day would be a great day working with them. It would go quickly, they would know exactly what they needed to do. They were an action taker. They weren't somebody who was going to be griping about how much a course was going to cost or anything like that, because they were more interested in getting knowledge, taking action on it, than they were about the product price. So I want you to think about that today. Get a pen and paper, and I want you to come up with two personas. I want you to come up with a male and a female, and I want you to write out a full description of your ideal client or ideal reader. What are they? What age group are they? What are their likes? What are their dislikes? Do they like pets? Do they not like pets? Do they have kids? Are they married, divorced? How many kids have they got? Whereabouts do they live? What are their thoughts on different topics? Now, the more detailed you can get about that person, it kind of narrows down the type of people you would start writing your book toward. It would narrow down the kind of topics you would mention in your emails, and it would probably give you ideas for maybe podcast episodes like I'm doing here. It'll give you ideas of what you could be creating. So even though it probably seems that you are going to probably lose 99% of the market because you're only focusing on one thing, it does free you up in that you actually know what direction you're going in. You know what content you should be creating. You're not creating content for everybody, but you're creating content for that one specific person. Now, you're probably thinking, well, if I'm only creating content for that one specific person, what about everybody else that turns up to my blog that isn't, my ideal persona? Somebody maybe who is younger, somebody maybe who is, not married or whatever. You will find maybe some of those people will still latch on to you and will still follow you, but you will keep the majority of those probably tire kickers, people who aren't taking action, people who aren't interested in what you do, people who maybe are broke or whatever it is. But creating content for your ideal persona will kind of push those other people away and keep them away from you. So you will find that over time it'll be your ideal readers that are buying your books, and they will be the ones that will be sharing your books. They will be the ones that will be giving you book reviews, compared to maybe the people who you are attracting right now who don't give a damn, don't read your books, want your books for free, don't talk about them, don't share about them, don't leave book reviews. That could be the type of person you might have on your list right now, or the people you might be attracting. But if you focus on your ideal reader, the person who loves your books, the person who loves going on social media and talking about your products or your books, does leave book reviews, does share your posts or whatever, when you start writing toward that person, you will find over time, as Russell said, you will start attracting those people to you. And he said, because he put that in place, a number of years later, he had a mastermind, and I think these people at this mastermind were paying like 10,000 or maybe 50,000 a year to sit in the room with him. And he said, as he was talking to them, he stopped for a moment and he got out one of his personas, and he just said for a second, I'm just going to read through this and you can tell me if this here reminds you of anybody. And he read through the personas. These were the ones he had created years earlier. These were the ideal people he wanted to work with. And he said when he finished, everybody in the room had their hands put up, because those were the people that he had mentioned in that list. Those were the people that were now in the room, and those were the people that were paying him the money. So even though this might all sound airy-fairy, a lot of big multi-million businesses do have a persona, an ideal customer that they go after. So again, as I said, it does kind of give you an idea of the content, the ads, the images, what you should be putting on social media, and all those different things. You will start attracting those people to you if you put content out that is tailored toward them, and you will keep all the other freebie seekers and the people who aren't really going to pay you much attention. You're going to push them away because you're not going to be attractive to them. So get a pen and paper today, work out your personas, and again, go onto Google Images and maybe just grab an image of a lady or a man that goes with that description, and then when you are writing your content today or you're writing your next fiction book, have that picture right there, do a quick read through and ask yourself, is this the type of blog post that my ideal reader would read? Is this a type of book my ideal reader would read? Would they share this book? Would they share this, this Facebook post or this image I'm about to put out? Would it attract their attention? Would they like it? And as I said, it'll give you an idea of where you should be creating your content. And you will find that over time, as Russell said, you will start attracting those ideal people to you. So give it a go. You have nothing to lose and you have everything to gain. So as always, if you'd like to find more of this great content, do a search for WriteCome, WriteCome.com. You'll find the content all over the web. And if you'd like to know more about me, again, go over to WriteCome.com. You'll find a great free report there at the moment, which is called Words to Wealth. And in it, I'm going to show you 10 different ways to make money from your writing. Now, after going through Russell's persona chapter, I think I'll be changing that because I think I am not attracting the right people to me. So you may find that report may change by the time you get over there, but I'll probably still have a copy on the website at some stage where you can still download it. So head on over anyway and see what I'm putting together at the moment. And as always, thanks for sharing your time with me again today. Have a great day. Bye bye.